It was Tom Platz himself who said that you need to train really, really hard, but you also need to rest really hard too. And that's the success to bodybuilding. If you don't know who Tom Platz is basically like the king of legs when it comes to bodybuilding. People always thought like he had the best legs. He always dominated in that field. He was one of the best bodybuilders of his time. And what surprised a lot of people was that even though he was the king of legs, he said himself that he only squats once every 2 weeks. When it comes to realizing your muscle growth, rest and recovery are just not talked about often enough. It's one of the attributes of bodybuilding which is less spoken about, and it's a little bit underrated if I'm being honest. If you don't allow yourself to recover, how do you expect to actually realize your gains? The gym, while it's really great, only provides the stimulus to grow your muscles. It doesn't actually grow your muscles itself. It can give you a pump and it can give you the stimulus required to grow your muscles. But the growth actually only comes during recovery. Hitting the gym 6 times a week means that you only have 1 day of rest and recovery. That is not enough to realize the gains, especially from 6 whole days of hitting the gym. Your body's not going to be able to recover enough from just that 1 day. Guys, I'm going to be honest, as nice as it sounds, as hardcore and intense as it sounds to say, I'm going to the gym 6 times a week, it's just not optimal. It's just not going to cut it when it comes to building your body. 6 days a week is too high and it's not allowing your body to recover enough. All right, now let's talk about in the gym, practically speaking. What does it take for us to grow when we go to the gym? Let me tell you, this is talked about all the time, but I'll go over it very quickly. We need to train with a high amount of intensity. We need to train close to failure, and we need to be progressively overloading so that we're able to make progress and see growth. Think about it. Training to failure means you're literally pushing your body close to a breaking point, close to a point where you're literally negotiating for your last ounces of strength, your last ounce of energy. And you're telling me that you can do that for 6 days in a week, 6 days in a row. You go to the gym 1 day, you go all out, you negotiated with every muscle in your body, you went with 95% intensity or higher. You're gonna go home, you're gonna eat, you're gonna sleep, and you're gonna go do that again tomorrow, and you're gonna do that 4 more times in a row without resting once? I don't think so. There is no way that that is possible. First of all, I just want to say, if you are going to the gym 6 days a week, that means that you're going 6 days in a row at some point. Even if your rest day falls in between, that means that the days after the rest day and the days at the start before the rest day the next week is going to total to 6 days in a row. So that means you're going 6 days in a row with no rest. Think about that for a second. There's no way what I just said is physiologically possible. I'm going to break down the 4 things that are going to happen. So one, and I hope this is the scenario for most of you guys because this is the best case scenario, is that you just end up wasting time. You haven't really gotten injured or experienced any kind of burnout, but unfortunately, you've gotten used to mediocrity. You've gotten used to training with an intensity that's just so irrelevant it doesn't matter. Instead of training to failure, you're doing what's more likely training till mild discomfort. It might have worked for your noob gains, but you quickly realize that this is not where you want to be when it comes to actually experiencing real growth. On a side note, I think this is where a lot of those Instagrammers, those Instagrammers get stuck at, those fitness influencers where they make those reels where I train 6 days a week and I eat this much food and I don't party and I do this and I'm still looking like a mid 16-year-old boy or whatever. The reason they're like that is because they're training 6 days a week and they're not training with the right intensity. They're basically in this first step where it's just they're wasting time, they're not really doing anything useful. So maybe you made some progress for a while, but now your body's not able to keep up with the demands of your regimen. 6 days is just too much. And it's become very obvious that you're not able to progressively overload anymore. Progress has stopped completely and is no longer possible. All right, number 3 is regression. So the physical stress on your body has taken its toll and now you're becoming smaller and weaker. Your muscles are constantly being broken down without actually having the opportunity to be allowed to recover. CNS fatigue is stacking, so your nervous system is becoming weaker and it's not being allowed to recover, further reducing your strength. The physical is now starting to stack into the mental, and you're starting to get close to the point of mental burnout. You're starting to lose motivation in the gym, the consistency is starting to falter, which even further reduces your performance. At this stage, we're on the verge of crashing out, and at this point, it might be best if you do, honestly, because that leads us to number 4, which is injuries, illnesses, or any other kind of crash out or burnout. So now everything's caught up to us. We haven't listened to all of the signs that our body's been telling us. We haven't listened, when we were plateauing, when we were regressing, we were all those little muscle aches. We weren't listening to them. We didn't recover. We still continue to push. And now it's time to face the consequences. If we're lucky, it was just a small strain or a small tweak in one of our joints, which can be recovered in hopefully a couple of weeks. But if we're not lucky, this might be something that takes several weeks to months to recover from. In this case, we probably also require a comeback, which takes a lot of mental effort. Most people do not make this comeback, and once they experience a setback, that's it. They're done. Their gym journey is done. Guys, we want to avoid all of these scenarios. We want to make sure that we stay healthy and that we can actually hit the gym with our full intensity, with full ferocity. So what does that mean? It means pick a routine with 3 to 5 days. Don't go to 6 days a week. It's just way too much. If you want some help with implementation, join my Discord server, send me a message. I will send you a routine that fits your schedule. One more thing I want to address is that rest days are the inverse of time recovered. So let's say you go 6 days a week and then you drop it to 5. So not only have you allowed yourself to rest longer, but you've also doubled your recovery. So just keep that in mind. A lot of times the solutions to sticking points or plateaus, yes, a lot of the times it is to address the weak points, but a lot of the times it can also be just to take one more a day off the gym than you already are. That's a big solution because you just need to rest and recover. All right, really quickly before we end this video, let's go over some misconceptions and then some implementations. Misconception number 1, more is better. So that is not true. I understand especially when newer people are very new to the gym, they're very eager to put on those gains. They want to achieve that physique, that super jacked physique that they wanted, but they want it right now. But the issue is that you can't have it right now. You need to build it up over time. It's a process. Misconception number 2, it's not always about how you're feeling. So especially if you're following a high frequency routine like push-pull legs, a lot of the times if you go 3 days in a row and the 4th day that you're supposed to take off, you still feel like going. The reason you feel like going is because your body is adapting to going to the gym every day. You've already done it 3 days in a row, so your body's preparing for you to do the 4th day. It doesn't mean that you're actually supposed to do it. It's just your body's natural response because it's expecting it. If you actually do it, you're going to experience trouble down the line. I've done it so many times, and every single time within a couple of days, I've noticed that I've overworked something, or I've tweaked the muscle or tweaked the joint. Your body will naturally prepare you for the worst case scenario in all of these kinds of cases. It doesn't mean that you actually need to go and take on that worst case scenario. You can use your brain and your conscious mind to actually not do that instead. All right, misconception number 3, if you're working a different body part or muscle group, then everything else is recovering. So you need to take days off where you are just simply not lifting weights. The reason is when you go to the gym to lift weights, your whole body to a certain extent experiences the stress. Even if you're only, let's say, doing pull day, your other muscles are still experiencing the stress. If you're doing T-bar rows, if you're doing barbell rows, your legs are still holding the weight. Your biceps and forearms are still holding the weight. You're still stabilizing and you're still moving the weight using those muscles. Your CNS, which is your nervous system, is something that allows you to push yourself with high intensity. Your CNS, or your nervous system, will burn out if you continuously push yourself hard without allowing yourself time to recover. CNS fatigue stacks regardless of the muscle group that you're using. You need to have, days where you just completely rest and allow yourself to reset that CNS fatigue. Lastly, especially if you're bulking up, but even if you're not bulking up, you need to have days where you can just have the calories, have the protein, and not have too much excess output of energy. You want to be able to sit there and just replenish and recover. You can do other activities, you can do cardio, you can go on walks, run, swim, whatever, but just don't lift weights. There's a different kind of tension and stress that's applied to your body when you lift weights. All right, lastly, I'm just gonna go over implementation just in case. So, 3 days probably the minimum that you need to go to the gym, 3 days in a week, if you want to actually experience muscle growth. It is perfectly valid and perfectly fine. It's not, again, like I said, more is not better. So with the 3-day routine though, you are gonna need to be hitting a full body routine so that you can be hitting every muscle group twice a week. 4 days, 4-day routine, probably the best 4-day routine out there is the upper lower split. You hit your upper body twice and you hit your lower body twice. Again, totally valid. You just do need to make sure that you are hitting it with a high intensity because at each body part is only getting hit twice a week. All right, for 5 days a week, we have the push-pull legs upper lower hybrid. So why hybrid? because what hybrid does is it allows us to do the push-pull legs. But if we run push-pull legs again with only 1 day of rest, we've now worked 6 days in a week without rest. So what the upper-lower hybrid does is that instead of doing the second cycle of push-pull legs, we just do an upper body day and a lower body day. So that will allow us to do 5 days in a week. And it's really, really optimal because each day is quite different. Push is different from pull, is different from upper. So the variability is very different. And we're also still optimally hitting each muscle group at least twice a week. This high frequency program is actually great, especially for those people who are newer and who want to experience good growth. I recommend this routine. Lastly, if you do want to make the full proper push-pull legs routine work, I'd recommend doing push-pull legs, rest, and then push-pull legs, rest. So before you start the next cycle again, you rest 1 more day at the end. So what this is basically an 8-day cycle. So the downside of that is that the days of your week are going to rotate. So if today, let's say if today's Monday, if today was a push day, then next week my push day will be Tuesday. It won't fall on Monday again. So the 8-day cycle is very valid, obviously, because you are resting twice a week. You are resting twice within those 8 days. The only downside is that, if you do need that stability with having the same workouts on the same days of the week, you don't have that. To me, gym was a priority, so I was willing to compromise and work around that. In fact, I found it very fun to work around that. I didn't like having the same days for everything, at least not back then when I was very new. So if you do want to run the original push-pull legs, that would be the way I do it. Don't run it 7 days. Don't run it with push-pull legs and only 1 rest day in the middle, because you are gonna once you do loop that routine back to the start, you are gonna have 6 days in a row, which is just not optimal, like we said in this video. I know Chris Bumstead also does an 8-day routine. It's a bit different. I don't think it's push-pull legs, but he also does a routine where it's like 6 days on, 2 days off, and it's like, so it's an 8-day cycle. 8-day cycle, totally valid. 6 days on, 2 days off. 7-day cycle, 6 days on, is not valid because you only have the 1 day off. Anyways, guys, I hope you liked that video. If you have any questions with routines, if you want me to give you a routine, I can help you. I can provide any kind of routine that you want. I've created all the routines. I've done push-pull legs. I've done upper lower. I know exactly what is needed for growth in these routines. If you want a custom routine, hit the link below. Join my Discord server. Send me a message, and I will hit you back with a routine that fits your needs. With that being said, guys, I hope you liked the video. Please drop it a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you guys next time.